the #1 newscast at 6 o'clock.
The man who knew of the plan to bomb the federal building in Oklahoma City does not get the legal break that he was hoping for. General Colin Powell and his high-profile charity, a question of taking credit where it was not due. And art for the masses, the newly created masterpiece, thanks to technology on the cutting edge.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. It is a long and frustrating battle, the one against terrorism. It has been 14 months now since the embassy bombings that killed more than 200 people in Kenya and Tanzania. U.S. authorities have been on a wide-ranging search for the killers and the men who direct them. Today, here in New York, they charged a man with playing a central role in the attack on the American embassy in Tanzania. Here's ABC's John Miller.
The FBI says Khamis Mohammed waited for the bomb to go off and then took photographs of the carnage before fleeing. Earlier, they say he'd purchased the truck that carried the bomb and rented the house where the bomb was made. When asked in court today if he understood the charges against him, he said, "I understand things used to make a bomb."
He is charged with direct operational responsibility in the preparation of the bomb for the embassy.
Khamis Mohammed's capture was the result of relatively mundane police work. FBI agents went to South Africa to comb through immigration files to see if any of their suspects had entered the country. While Mohammed had been using a false name, a picture attached to one of the files matched a photograph the FBI already had of their suspect. He was picked up quietly on Tuesday as he went to renew his temporary resident card for the 5th time.
We're confident that eventually we'll get them all.
17 people are charged in the conspiracy to carry out the bombings. 9 have been captured, and 8 are still at large. But the 3 men charged with ordering and financing the bombings, Saudi financier Osama bin Laden and 2 of his top lieutenants, remain in Afghanistan under the protection of the Taliban government. John Miller, ABC News, New York.
In London today, a judge has ruled that the former military ruler of Chile, Augusto Pinochet, should be extradited to Spain, where he faced charges that he's responsible for torturing and killing his political opponents in the 1970s. Human rights advocates in many parts of the world are pleased. The general's lawyers have one more appeal to the British government. There was no leniency today for a figure from the Oklahoma City bombing conspiracy. Michael Fortier, the man who knew the 1995 attack was imminent but kept quiet, was back in court today. He was hoping to get a break because he later cooperated with the government. He didn't do very well with the judge today. Here's ABC's Steve Osunsami.
The families who came to the courthouse this morning worried Michael Fortier might leave a free man.
I hope he doesn't walk the streets of Oklahoma City.
The appeals court had ordered Judge Thomas Van Bever to reconsider Fortier's 12-year sentence using more lenient sentencing guidelines. Fortier's attorney argued that the 4 years already served was punishment enough. But the judge today said 12 years is the right sentence, and that he is justified in exceeding the lenient guidelines because the bombing was an act of, quote, terrorism. Prosecutors were satisfied.
We asked for 144 months, and we got 144 months. It's a punishment that fits the crime.
Fortier's attorney admitted his client knew of the plans to bomb the Murrah Federal Building, yet failed to notify authorities. But he said Fortier deserves leniency for helping to convict the bombers Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols.
I completely disagree with the findings.
You're appealing, Mr. McGuire?
Damn right we're appealing.
From the victims, no sympathy.
I think 144 months is pretty cheap for 168 lives.
Many of the family members who have relatives memorialized on this fence surrounding the bombing site say their wounds have yet to heal. Even so, today they say they fought for justice and not vengeance. Steve Osunsami, ABC News, Oklahoma City.
President Clinton went to Canada today, and the debate about ratifying the nuclear test ban treaty went with him. The president appealed to the Senate to delay a vote on the treaty, conceding he cannot win ratification now.
We don't have the votes. I'm not going to try to bring it up without the votes. Let them take it down, but also agree on a legitimate process to take this out of politics.
Mr. Clinton did not get the reaction he hoped for from the Senate Republican leader.
For 2 years, There's been this agitation to get this treaty up and have a vote on it. And so finally they got what they said they wanted, and then they didn't want what they said they wanted. Then they said, wait a minute, no, we didn't mean now.
The vote in the Senate is scheduled for next week. President Clinton officially opened the new American Embassy in Canada today. It's in the very heart of the Canadian capital, and its location on a busy street actually violates the State Department's own safety regulations. The embassy is big, and it dominates the street on which it was built. In that respect, it's a little like Canadian-American relations. ABC's John Cochran reports tonight from Ottawa.
It's no wonder American presidents enjoy coming to Canada. There are so few truly contentious issues. And when there are, such as fishing rights or agricultural competition, they are usually resolved by quiet diplomacy. In this unique relationship, leaders exchange visits every year.
He also says that if I come one more time, I have to start paying taxes.
But Canadians have always felt underappreciated, or worse, ignored. They say Americans have no idea Canada will celebrate its Thanksgiving this weekend. We are your most loyal friends, say Canadians. We are the ones you can always count on to provide peacekeeping troops in hotspots. And we are by far your biggest trading partner. You do more business with one Canadian province alone, Ontario, than you do with Japan.
When we think about what Americans think of us, the answer is they don't. They simply don't think of us very much, and that's kind of troubling.
More cross-border irritants. Americans complain that too many illegal Asian immigrants come into the U.S. via Canada. Canadians ask, what about the American gangs known to smuggle aliens into Canada? And they say, what about all those American TV programs, movies, books, and magazines that flood into Canada? Even the licensing rights to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police are owned by the Walt Disney Company.
Either we fight for this country or we blink and let the Americans take us over completely.
Which is not to say that Canadians have not had a big impact in the States, in business, medicine, and the arts. The U.S. is so big it can easily absorb Canadians. But Canada, with only 1/9 of America's population, often feels like a mouse living next door to an elephant. And Canadians cannot help but notice when the elephant rolls over. John Cochran, ABC News, Ottawa.
President Clinton got in some trouble today when he said efforts to make a peace in Northern Ireland have faltered because the two sides, Protestants and Catholics, are like a couple of drunks who can't leave the bar. He actually said every time they make an agreement to do it, they're like a couple of drunks walking out of the bar for the last time. They get to the swinging door, they turn right around and go back in and say, I just can't quite get there. The president apologized for using, as he called it, an inappropriate metaphor. Just ahead, some of the day's other news. Is this former general's charity as charitable as it says it is? And the agony of thinking that someone may be dead but not really knowing. The London train.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by Nicorette Gum.
In the last 13 years, Nicorette helped over 1 million people help themselves stop smoking. And that was the reason that convinced me to use Nicorette. All these people knew it was safe and effective. Nicorette delivers a low level of nicotine fast to help control cravings without the tars and toxins found in cigarettes. And Nicorette was proven safe and effective in more clinical trials than any other product. Just the idea that Nicorette had helped all those people made me feel that Nicorette was the right choice for me in the end. Which it was.
Nicorette helps you fight your cravings, your habit, your way. You can do it. Nicorette can help.
For 98 years, GMC has designed trucks for people who drove them not because they were trendy, but because their lives depended on them. Heroes who measured a truck by its power and its determination. That heritage lives in the Yukon Denali. A luxury SUV with a 255 horsepower V8. It meets the demands of professionals and the standards of history. The Yukon Denali by GMC.
So with Staples.com, you order the supplies you want, I approve them, and they're delivered the next day.
You mean I can order pens?
Yes.
Paper?
Yes.
How about an executive leather chair?
No.
Paper clips?
Yes.
Linda.
When you people are finished, I have a light bulb in my office that he's changing too. I love the way they pull together.
Want great prices on everything, even furniture? Staples.com.
Why do I have Aflac insurance on top of my regular health insurance? Because he has his mother's eyes. Because I still have to teach him to whistle. And because Aflac helps cover what other insurance doesn't. If I'm injured, Aflac even provides cash to help pay bills. So why do I have Aflac? Did I mention he has his mother's eyes? Aflac supplemental insurance. Without it, no insurance is complete.
There's another huge verdict against State Farm Insurance today. On Monday, a jury in Illinois ordered State Farm to pay $450 million for secretly requiring repair shops to use cheap and even unsafe imitation parts when making repairs. Today, the judge in the case ruled the policy amounted to fraud, and he tacked on another $730 million. State Farm says it is stunned and will appeal. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up more than 112 points to close at 10,649. On the NASDAQ, stocks were up more than 25, almost 26 points. A major children's charity called America's Promise, which is led by General Colin Powell, is the subject of some criticism today. The General's charity is accused of making claims about accomplishments that cannot be substantiated. Here's ABC's Bill Rediker.
When General Colin Powell mobilized his crusade 2 years ago in Philadelphia, hopes were high that America's Promise would raise hundreds of millions of dollars from corporate contributors to help children in poor neighborhoods.
America's Promise. We're making promises to our children that we're going to put them on the right path. We're going to give them this nurturing. We are going to protect them.
But today, America's Promise and one of America's icons are under the gun.
Some of it was hype.
Critics, including the Chronicle of Philanthropy, say Powell's charity has inflated its results, that the America's Promise performance report exaggerated when it claimed to have reached 10 million children and obtained $300 million in commitments.
It's a study that's based more on hope than on actuality. It certainly didn't distinguish either America's Promise or Price Waterhouse.
One of the reasons for releasing the report at this time was as a justification for continuing the funding of America's Promise, which originally was supposed to close its doors in the year 2000, and now they want to keep it going.
The charity has also taken credit when it's not always due. In its 1999 report to the nation, Hewlett-Packard is mentioned for donating $4 million to help children learn math and science. But the computer maker says the money was earmarked long before America's Promise asked for a donation. Late today, Colin Powell issued this written statement. It does not answer any specific criticism, but acknowledges there is room for improvement. We're a new organization, he writes, and we're getting smarter every day. Bill Rediker, ABC News, New York.
Going to go overseas again now. In Britain today, the pain of not knowing. They are still combing through the mangled metal of the 603 train to London that crashed on Tuesday. We already know that 30 people are dead, but several dozen passengers are not yet accounted for. And so this is about not knowing. Here's ABC's Richard Gisbert.
One British paper today called it the agony of those who wait. More than 24 hours after the crash, rescue workers could hear cell phones ringing in the wreckage. Firefighters had no doubt that loved ones were still calling, hoping for a miracle.
Very upsetting and difficult to deal with, the fact that it made it very personal. It made you realize that these were people.
When an airplane crashes, there is a passenger list. When an earthquake strikes, you can check buildings or talk to neighbors. But when a commuter train crashes and turns into a furnace, there is so little to go on. A briefcase, a bicycle someone brought on board, a book. At the stations along the train's route, the cars, waiting for their owners to claim them. The authorities have formed an identity commission. It will have to rely on dental records, jewelry, and DNA tests on what few remains are found. All of this is taking so long because the railway car containing most of the victims is so badly burned it's unstable. They are building an outer layer, a forensic shell, that will allow investigators to go inside safely. In one way, the relatives of the people who are known to have died may be better off than those who must wait. At least they know. They are no longer holding out hope where there really isn't any. Richard Gisbert, ABC News, London.
In Mexico today, the aftermath of torrential floods and rain and mudslides. 230 people have been killed in the latest weather. The weather has devastated this region along Mexico's Gulf Coast and south. The rain stopped today. Workers, many of them from the Army, struggled under gray skies to pull bodies from the mud. When we come back, technology on the cutting edge from an electronic pallet, the perfect fake home.
Shanazar, please. Has always talking trash.
You're paying, baby!
He's always trying to get inside your head.
Seahorse, you don't know your elbows from your...
And sometimes, he can get downright nasty.
I bet you pay transaction fees on your mutual funds. Your mama pays full commission. You know how to calculate a P/E ratio?
When we created a smarter kind of investment firm,
How diversified is your portfolio?
we created a smarter kind of investor.
You can't even spell Dow Jones. Okay, guys, let's get this right. To calculate a P/E ratio, you divide the stock price.
From a small clog to a major problem. Next time, call a trained Roto-Rooter plumber to fix it.
I knew I was in for the fight of my life, but I was ready.
When my husband and his friends start exchanging fish stories, it's the phone bill that can turn into a whopper.
I fought this monster for hours. First I had the upper hand, then he took control.
That's why we always dial 10-10-321. With 10-10-321, calls over 10 minutes are 50% off. That's just 8 cents a minute. Daytime, nighttime, anytime.
I'll tell you, it was like a whale.
Yeah?
You should have seen this.
Well, let me tell you about my trip.
Dial 10-10-321 and talk as long as you want, whenever you want.
Out here, am I supposed to say, slow down, I'm constipated? I don't think so. So I rely on doctor-recommended Metamucil. Works with my body, gently, which is important to a sensitive guy like myself.
You have meditated for 3 months.
Yes, Master.
What have you learned?
Nobody in the world sells more real estate than Remax.
Remax helped us find this place, you know.
Cool.
Remax, the real estate leaders.
These days, everybody wants whiter teeth.
Including me, and I wear dentures.
New Polysint Whitening Mouthwash not only freshens your breath, it whitens dentures in just 2 weeks. New Polysint Whitening Mouthwash.
It's giving denture wearers a lot to smile about.
Technology on the cutting edge tonight, the masterpiece and the copy. It's always been held in the art world, and the prices reflect it, that no copy ever approaches the power of an original. Tonight, ABC's Brian Rooney on how technology makes for better and better copies.
Just outside Toronto is an office where the hallways have become a gallery for works of some of the great painters of all time. Here are Renoir and Van Gogh. Degas hangs frame to frame with Monet. You can see the brushstrokes of the masters of reproduction.
Those brushstrokes were laid on with technology that is faithful to what the original was. So if we looked at this picture close up and we looked at the original close up, they would look and feel the same.
Atelier America uses a combination of technology and craftsmanship to attempt to do for fine art what the long-playing record did for music, put it in every home. It starts with a color transparency. Here, Claude Monet's Field of Tulips. The picture is scanned into a computer exactly as it is. Even the smudge Monet left on the right border. The image is then color-corrected to keep it looking original.
This color seems to be much cooler, which is what Monet would have intended.
Working from a full-size color reproduction, an artist uses a paste to recreate Monet's brushstrokes. Then molding material is poured over it to make a three-dimensional negative image. Finally, a flat, oil-based color blank, which looks like a photograph, is placed over the mold in a thermal press. What comes out is an image with raised brushstrokes that look startlingly real. Here is the color blank, and here is the final product. And last, the works of the masters are touched up by anonymous painters.
In a way, you do feel like you're kind of helping the guy out, you know, bringing his work back to life.
It is the moment of recreation. For $500 to $600 a piece, you can buy a box full of Cézannes and enough Degas to paper your den. It is fine art for the masses. Technology on the edge of a brushstroke. Brian Rooney, ABC News, Toronto.
In a moment, the trial that set a precedent for justice in this century.
Natural, real. I want to look the way I feel. I'm a Grecian man. Want it quick, hassle-free. A look that really looks
creation a whole new day.
Creation style.
Ask your doctor about Viagra.
One question aroused fierce passions for centuries. What's for dinner? Until the day a great mediator appeared. The new Maytag Gemini. An amazing 2-in-1 range that allowed them to cook 2 different foods at 2 different temperatures for one complete meal.
Freedom.
This job's killing me. I've got to start thinking about the future. Thinking long term. There's the kids' college. They need good health care. And then there's my retirement. Yeah, I got to start thinking about this stuff. For more than 2 minutes at a time.
Your health, your finances, your future. Aetna, for what matters most.
Hey, Danielle, how's it going? How come you're using this?
How most people do it.
That doesn't make it the best way. We can make our pizza sauce from tomato concentrate like some of the other guys, but we use a sauce that's canned fresh. To me, it tastes better than sauce made from concentrate. Maybe you should do it different than most people.
Keep squeezing, Dad. Keep squeezing.
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
Keep going, Dad.
Get a large one-topping pizza for $8.99. Get a second large for just $6.99.
I think the most important feeding is the one that you start in the fall, so your lawn starts to look healthier in the spring, and consequently, you need Scott's Winterizer. When I put down Winterizer in the fall, it allows us to develop a good, strong root base, and it allows the lawn to endure the winter weather, and you get a real early greening. This grass is beautiful, thick, deep green. People will stop by and say, how'd you do that? Scott's Winterizer gives the grass a kickstart in the fall and makes it really look great in the spring.
I may look young, but I still suffer from hot flashes. I discovered a natural way to deal with it. New Healthy Woman from the makers of Monistat. Healthy Woman's a soy menopause supplement that helps relieve hot flashes in a natural way. New Healthy Woman.
Tonight, she lived in a world of glamour, fashion, beauty, but kept a dangerous secret, a hidden obsession.
I thought I was going to die then.
How this model flirted with death will leave you breathless. On 2020, tonight at 10, 9 Central.
Next on Channel 2 News, health officials fear the liquor store moving in across the street could make rehab patients fall off the wagon. Plus a warning about some fabulous vacation deals on the internet. I'm Kathy Marshall. Local News is next.
Finally this evening, a moment of reckoning. Here at the end of the century, the long shadow of World War II still hangs over many lives. Yesterday, survivors of the Nazi labor camps rejected a $3.3 billion compensation offer from the German government and German companies. Tonight, for the century on Friday, an unforgettable event to hold the Nazis accountable. Tonight, the Nuremberg trials. There are few cities as connected to the history of the 20th century as Nuremberg in Germany. It was here in the early 1930s that Nazi leaders mounted fabulously impressive rallies demonstrating their allegiance to Adolf Hitler. In 1935, the Nuremberg Laws made Jews effectively second-class citizens in Germany. And it was in Nuremberg, beginning in October 1945, that the world's first international war crimes trial was held, prosecuting the Nazis responsible for World War II. Nuremberg was the Allied victors' attempt to transform the enormous desire for revenge into an international example of justice.
The immediate instinct of everyone, I think, in formerly occupied Europe would have been
to grab every Nazi in sight and string them up in the laboratories.
Even the British wartime leader Winston Churchill argued that the Nazi leaders should be summarily shot. But the American and Soviet position prevailed. 24 Nazis were to be tried for war crimes, including Hitler's much-hated second-in-command, Hermann Göring, the German foreign minister, Joachim von Ribbentrop, the Nazi architect, Albert Speer, and Hitler's longtime deputy, Rudolf Hess. The prosecutors had plenty of evidence, but trying defendants in a court that had no real jurisdiction using law written after the crime would prove to be very difficult.
Defense lawyers complained that the law was unfamiliar and therefore unfair to their clients.
Even so, the chief prosecutor, American Supreme Court Justice Robert Jackson, declared that he was only proposing punishment for acts regarded as criminal since the time of Cain and Abel. In the end, he brought 4 charges against the defendants: crimes against humanity, violation of the rules of war, crimes against peace, and criminal conspiracy, which placed blame on the German leadership as a whole for acts committed under its orders.
Civilization cannot tolerate their being ignored because it cannot survive their being repeated.
Unfortunately, the American prosecutor was not quite up to the rough and tumble of cross-examination. With Hermann Göring in particular, Justice Jackson stumbled.
Hermann Göring was, I'm afraid to say, the star of the show. He enjoyed himself. He was going to go down, all guns blazing.
But no courtroom theatrics could deflect the power of the evidence. For much of the world, it was the Nuremberg trials that revealed the extent of Nazi atrocities against the Jews. Of the 24 defendants, 12 were ordered to the gallows. Among them, Ribbentrop and Göring, who in one last slap at his accusers, committed suicide in his jail cell. But even more important than the sentences, Nuremberg established precedent.
The word Nuremberg stayed in people's minds. It's as if somewhere there is an instinct which tells people that there should be an overarching legal system which applies to all, that there is a difference between good and evil.
A painful but important legacy to the bloodiest century in human history. As you know, there's always a lot more about this on our website, thecentury.com. This week, the focus is on the people who resisted the Nazis. That is our report on World News Tonight. Later on 2020, Barbara Walters is going to be talking to Governor Jesse Ventura. I'm Peter Jennings. We hope you have a good weekend. Good night.
Sunday on This Week, he's unpredictable, unrestrained, and he's talking politics. So what's he think of them? Sam and Cokie pin him on the issues. Sunday.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings than from any other nightly news.
This is KATU, the power of 2000. Now, Channel 2 News.
A Lynn County liquor store is moving to a place where some people least need it, and that has health officials concerned, but you might be surprised at what neighbors have to say. Good evening, I'm Paul Lindman.
And I'm Kathy Marshall.